Hola chicos! Yesterday we talked about how to make your food post more interesting by adding an introduction. That could be with a summary sentence or talking directly to the reader. We also mentioned different transitions. Primero, segundo, tercero, luego, entonces. Those are single words. You could also say 2 horas más tarde, 2 horas después. Those are transition expressions. We also mentioned combining sentences to make them compound using y and pero, and complex using si and cuando. Today's focus is going to be to add a conclusion. So a couple of strategies to do that are to add a summary sentence again. So you could say, use the expression en resumen, in summary, en resumen, a mí me encantan las frutas. This is supposing that you've talked about fruits your whole food blog. Ahora tengo hambre y voy a merendar una naranja. Hasta luego. So not only does this summarize that I've been talking about fruits, but also what I'm going to do here in just a second that has to do with fruits. Como puedes ver, as you can see, las frutas son mi comida favorita y no puedo vivir un día sin ellas. Okay, so this is summarizing that I love fruits. Para concluir, las frutas son importantes en mi vida. No quiero imaginar una vida sin frutas. So again, some expressions that might be helpful to take from this particular slide are en resumen, como puedes ver, y para concluir. Add a summary sentence or provide a call to action. This is trying to get the reader to do something. En conclusión, la barbacoa tejana es muy sabrosa. Y, and here's our call to action, tienes que probar la comida de Rudy's. Es una decisión genial. Si eres como yo y te gusta la carne, and here's our call to action, debes probar la barbacoa tejana. Es lo mejor de Texas. La comida Tex-Mex es mi comida favorita. Y, here's our call to action, necesitas probar la comida de Super Taco. Va a cambiar tu vida. I could have a call to action for my own self. Here's an example. Mi dieta no es muy saludable, lo sé. Mi propósito para el 2023 es comer más saludable. You can probably figure out propósito means resolution. So my New Year's resolution is to eat healthier food. One of the words that I used often in here is the word probar. It might be helpful to add that to your vocabulary, although I think it's coming up in the next part of our vocabulary notes. But add it for this particular list to study, to use in your toolbox for when you write your food post. After all is said and done, some of the expressions that we practiced with, both in our introduction and conclusion, involve expressions that have infinitives. And so it might be helpful to remind you of some of the tools that you have in your toolbox already. So we talked about a call to action, necesitas plus infinitive. We talked about debes, you should or you must plus infinitive. Tienes que plus infinitive, that's something that you learned in Español 1A. Es importante plus infinitive. Vas a plus infinitive, you are going to. Maybe this is not necessarily a call to action, but it's something that can tell the reader what you are going to do in the future, in the near future. Puedes plus infinitive, you can. Of course, you can always use these expressions from the point of view of yo. Voy a plus infinitive. I use that in my introductions to explain what I am going to do. I also used it in my conclusion to say that I'm going to eat fruits next. Quiero plus infinitives, kind of along the same lines, talking about what you want to do. I use an example of no puedo plus the infinitive. No puedo imaginar una vida sin frutas. I can't imagine. So all of these are possibilities, and just remember that you have these expressions in your toolbox based on things that we practiced in the past. So for your upcoming activity, which involves correcting your paragraphs. And for your practice tomorrow of actually writing your paragraphs, and for your actual UCA test on Friday, you want to make sure that you include an introduction. You want to make sure that you include transitions. Make sure that you have a good variety of compound and complex sentences mixed in with simple sentence structure. It's good to have a variety. And finally, you want to make sure that you end with the conclusion. Make sure that you are pacing yourself in those 20 minutes that you have to write to add a conclusion. So with that said,